Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we will start today's lecture, and today's lecture is on basic concept of flexure analysis and design of beam. In this lecture, actually we will study the AST method. So flexural behavior of beam under the service load. When load is going to applied on beam or any other member, stresses are actually produced in the concrete and steel reinforcement or steel bars. If stress in the steel rebar is less than yield strength, we can say that steel are in elastic range. Similarly, if the stress in concrete is less than 0.6 times Fc dash, we can say that concrete is in elastic range. There are some following points which needs to be considered or needs to be remembered for the elastic range. First is load are unfactored in the elastic range. Material are in elastic range. All the analysis and design in the elastic range are actually close to allowable stress analysis and design or AST method. Assumption for studying the flexure behavior. First assumption is plane section of the beam remain planes after bending. Meaning to that, if we have this plane or this plane, and when our beam is going to bend, these plane will become plane even after the bending. The material of the beam is homogeneous and obeys the Hooke's law, meaning to that stresses are directly proportional to the strain. Next assumption is perfect bond exists between steel and concrete. So whatever the strain is produced in the concrete, same strain is going to be produced in the steel in order to be a perfect bond. All the loads, applied loads up to failure are in equilibrium with the internal forces developed in the material. All the strains of 0.003 concrete is crushed. At strain of 0.003 concrete is crushed, meaning to that crushing strain needs to be assumed equals to 0.003. Other assumptions are when the cracks appear on the tension face of the beam, its capacity to resist tension is considered as zero. Stress and strain diagram were simplified for steel and concrete. So in case of steel, the bilinear curve was used. In case of concrete, only the linear elastic portion was assumed, and linear elastic portion was assumed 0.6 times of Fc dash. Now flexure behavior of beam. Here we will see how we can derive the formula and its general procedure. So first of all, we need to draw the cross section and need to show the amount of reinforcement. These dotted are basically representing the reinforcement steel, reinforcement bar, and this is basically the cross section of a rectangular section beam. So first thing is we need to draw that cross section of the beam along with reinforcement. Second step is we need to draw the strain diagram. Third is we need to calculate the stress. How we can calculate the stress? We have studied that if we have a flexural stress is basically equals to my over I. Then we have to show the internal resistance forces. This C is basically representing the internal resistive compressive force. This T is basically representing internal resistance tensile force coming from the reinforcement. And the distance between internal resistive compressive force and internal resistive tensile force is basically LA. So let's say if we have a beam and if I apply the load, if beam is going to be bent like that, meaning to that upper face is in compression and bottom face is actually in tension. So that's why we have upper compression and bottom is tension. This capital C, remember that this is concrete contribution coming from concrete, basically internal resistive compressive force. This T is basically internal resistive tensile force and coming from the reinforcement component. Distance between these two is basically LA. Here actually we have three cases. So first case is when both steel and concrete are in elastic range. So this is the cross section. We have reinforcement, these dots actually. So this is the strain diagram. At the top we have epsilon C. This is basically strain at the top concrete. Now we have strain in the steel at the level of the reinforcement. Then we have stress diagram, something like that. So stress at the top is Fc and stress at the steel level is Fs. Now we need to draw resultant force diagram. So we have C, which is internal resistive compressive force, and we have capital T, which is internal resistive tensile force. Distance between these two forces C and T is basically LA. So this is the configuration of stress, strain and resultant force diagram when both steel and concrete are in elastic range. Here both steel and concrete actually resisting the applied action. Now second case is when cracks appeared on the tension side. So these cracks when appear on the tension side, we need to assume that concrete below the neutral axis become ineffective and we can ignore it. So again we have strain diagram. This is strain at the top concrete surface, strain in the steel at the steel level. Now you can see that in the stress diagram we do not have triangular shape like previously we have. Why? Because when the crack appeared on the tension face, concrete below the neutral surface can be ignored and become ineffective. So resultant force diagram, again we have C, compressive internal resistive force on the compression side of the concrete. This T is basically because of the reinforcement. So again distance between C and T, that is LA. And this is the diagram for the second stage when crack appeared on the tension side. Now third case is when compression stresses cross the elastic range. So again we have actually strain diagram, strain in concrete and strain in steel. Now this time we have stresses which basically exceed the elastic range. So this diagram for the stress for concrete portion is actually we have adopted from the stress strain curve of the concrete. If we just rotate that, we will get that diagram. So it is 0.85 Fc dash, this one stress at the top concrete level. Again stress in the steel is Fs. We have resultant diagram, again C and T, distance between C and T is LA. Now this diagram, this set of diagram is valid when compression stresses are basically exceed the elastic range. So now as we discussed the three cases, so first case is when concrete or steel are in elastic range. Second case is when crack appear on the tension side of the concrete, right? And third is when compressive stresses, which is at the top, exceed the elastic range. So if we want to find out the moment capacity, it is actually equals to T times LA. Moment is basically force into perpendicular distance. So T times LA or C times LA. So for all the three cases, moment is become equals to T times LA or C times LA. Here in this slide, we want to show you how to calculate the flexural stresses. You are already aware of that. Flexural stresses is equals to my over I, or we can say that m over I divided by y. I divided by y is represented by S, and S is actually section modulus. Similarly, if you want to calculate the shear stress, as you know from previous semester, is equals to tau is equals to VAY over IB. Now in this slide, we will share some notations with you. Let's say we have a cross section. This B is basically defining the width of the beam. This H is basically defining the height of the cross section. These dotted portion, they are basically defining the reinforcement on tension side, and it is denoted by AS. This is basically reinforcement on the compression face, and it is denoted by AS dash. D distance is effective depth. Effective depth is the distance from the centroid of the reinforcement on the tension face. I am repeating, centroid of the reinforcement at the tension face to the top concrete surface. That is basically D. FC is the concrete stress at any load level. FC dash is 28 days slender strength of concrete. Epsilon C is strain in concrete at any load level. Epsilon C U is ultimate concrete strain, which is equals to crushing strain, and we need to assume 0.003. Let's say we have a T-type section. Then again, B is the width of the top flange. BW is the width of the web. HF is basically thickness of the flange. Now again, D is centroid from the group of reinforcement. If we have, let's say, one layer of reinforcement, then its centroid will be this one. If we have two layers of reinforcement, then centroid of the layer of reinforcement to the top concrete surface, that we call as D. Some notation, Fy is basically representing the yield strength of concrete. Fs is defining the steel stress at particular load level. Then epsilon S is strain in steel at particular level. Epsilon Y is yield strain in steel. Es is modulus of elasticity of steel. Ec is modulus of elasticity of concrete. Rho, that we call as rho, it is equals to steel ratio, and it is equals to area of steel divided by area of concrete. I am repeating, rho is reinforcement ratio or steel ratio, and it is equals to area of steel divided by area of concrete. T is resultant tensile force. C is resultant internal compressive force. Let's say we have a cross section of a beam. B is the width, H is the height. Again, D is distance from centroid of the reinforcement on tension side to the top concrete surface. Now we have two different terms. One we call as small c. Small c is actually equals to KD, and small c is distance from neutral axis to the top concrete surface. Again, I am repeating, small c is equals to distance from neutral axis to the top concrete surface. Neutral axis is actually centroid of the cross section. Now, distance between resultant compressive and resultant tensile force is LA, and that is equals to J times D. JD is the lever arm, KD is depth of neutral axis from compression phase, J and K are always less than 1. In these slides, I have shared with you guys some basic regarding the flexural analysis and design of beam under service load or using AST method. This is actually chapter number 2 from Zaid Ahmed Siddiqui book. I would highly recommend you to read the initial part of the chapter number 2. Thanks.